this is Joy with Joy Wilson Inc. I'm back today with a project for Maker Forte, and I'm going to be featuring the beautiful Magnolia stamp set on a stenciled background using the abstract line stencil. I just love the way this came together, and I think you're going to as well. So I started out with my Copic coloring, which is my typical. So that's no surprise. Anyway, I stamped my images with Color Hive Eclipse ink, and I just love that because I get a perfect impression the very first time. It's super crisp, and it's a wonderful ink. So I typically start out with coloring my greenery, and I do that because anytime I use reds or red-violet markers, I find that they kind of bleed into the greens. So that's where I am starting, and you'll see me coloring the stems and the leaves of the greenery. And my go-to colors for this always is YG 01, 03, 17, 67, and then later on you're going to see me come in with an E37 just to add that, because if you notice, magnolias are actually a tree, so they would have bark. I left out some of the coloring on the actual flowers just to shorten the video a little bit, but I chose a vibrant pink for my magnolia. And for those colors, I chose the colors RV11 being my lightest color, 32, 34 is my midtone, and 19 as my dark color that will cause most of the contrast. And I think I talked about this last time. If you have a scary dark contrast color, it makes your flowers or anything that you color pop. So I always try to go in and use one of the very darkest of my color families for that color. I also like to leave a little bit of white space around the edge of each flower, and that just gives some bounce back and kind of brightens the flower. And I strategically leave that in on each petal, just because where the flowers, or the petals overlap, you'll get too much of the same color. So anywhere you see those flowers overlap, I again go in with that RV19 to cause, or to create that shadow, just to delineate where they split. I think that that's a really fun, easy way to do flowers. You could get real technical with your flowers and do real fine flicks and put in, like, you'll see all the striations in the flowers, but I just went for a seamless blend, and I think I pretty much accomplished that in this Copic coloring. I don't know, you'll have to be the judge. You can leave me a message down below and tell me if I have created that well. And then something I like to do is I like to add a little bit of the YG01, that's the very lightest green that I use, and I like to flick that in strategically in my flowers, because if you ever look at flowers, they tend to reflect the light or the greenery. So you'll see some of the yellows and the greens of the surrounding garden or trees around in there. So I just think that that's a really cool way to do it. And sometimes, because that is a yellowish color, it'll actually turn out kind of an orange on those red violets, and it's just absolutely stunning. Now you're going to see me finishing up my coloring here, and that's where I added the E37 onto the leaves, or I'm sorry, on the stems of the flowers, and then I used a white gel pen and just kind of dotted in some areas just to give it some speckles and some added highlights. I like doing that with my flowers. I just think it gives it a more realistic look, and it also adds a lot of interest in your final project. So you can tell me if you like that. And then I took my flowers over to my scan and cut and had those cut out. Now, I cannot stand it when the centers of the die doesn't, like the flowers where the white space is, I can't stand that when that shows. So I chose to take a Copic 100 marker just to color that in because I knew my background was going to be a black and pink. So I thought it would blend in nicely. If this is something that doesn't bother you, this is an unnecessary step. But for me, it's a huge deal for me. I just think it adds to the project to have it all blend, and you'll see that coming in here shortly. So next, you're going to see me using my Windy Vecchi Stay. Is it a Stay shit? I think it is. Anyway, I'm using the Color Hive embossing glue ink, and I'm just daubing that on with a dome foam pad through my stencil. And so you'll see that I did it kind of messy. I wasn't too worried about the coverage. I just wanted it to be distressed because I didn't want a perfect background. And then I am right now using the Northern Lights embossing powder. Oh my goodness, if you have not used this, you have got to check it out. I just love all the different pops of greens and purple and pink that just shines through, and it shows up perfectly on this black paper. I am leaving the embossing in with the heat gun because I don't know about you, but watching embossing powder melt is probably my favorite thing in crafting. Call me crazy, but it's my favorite. I mean, Copic coloring is my favorite medium to use as of now. I have quite a few, but embossing is what brought me into card making. It just makes my heart happy. So I'd love to know what your favorite technique is. If you'd leave me a comment below, I would appreciate it. And now you're going to see me trimming my background. I took that down to 3 3/4 by 5. And a little trick is I draw lines with a permanent marker where those are because I know that is usually my focal point layer. So it just helps me guide things, and I have to do a lot of thinking. And then typically I do my next mat like at 4 by 5 1/4, and I am using the bubblegum cardstock from Maker Forte because it matches that not only my flowers but the Northern Lights perfectly. And now you can see me adhering that to the top folding A2 perfect score card bases. That's with Maker Forte's 110-pound cardstock, and it's amazing. I'm going to back up. I kind of skipped a step. I added some fun foam on there just because I like a little bit of dimension and thickness to my cards, but again, that is just personal preference. You don't have to do that. And then you can see I'm kind of fidgeting with the flowers. I added some foam tape. I'm using the picker tool to remove that, and now you're going to see up here that my floral is ready to go. My card's almost done. I used the You Are So Loved sentiment from the same stamp set and inked that with the Eclipse ink. I think I stamped that down about 3 times, and I used my smusher tool just to get a really good impression. And then I used my trimmer, and I just kind of blocked that out, leaving a pink border on that. And then finally I used some gems from my stash to add a little bit of bling, and I think the card came together well. I want to give you a heads up about Maker Forte. They are having a free class, Lift Your Spirits, tonight. Now, I know that there are products that go along with it, but if you register for the class, I believe that you could watch it later if you're interested in that. That is on the website right now. In addition, I would love it if you would like and subscribe to my channel if you like what I'm bringing to you. I'm trying to build things up a little bit. I'm new to this. I'm sure you can tell that, but I appreciate each and every one of you, and I love what the crafting industry has done for me, and I'm just so thankful to be part of it. So I do hope you will join me again. And again, the products that I used for this was the beautiful Magnolia stamp and the abstract line stencil and the northern light. So I will see you next time. Have a good one. Bye-bye.